Hello everyone, how are you today? Welcome to another interesting learning time with Miss Blessing. In today's English lesson, we are going to be learning to ask series of questions about the Great Barrier Reef, to speculate, imagine and explore ideas. We are learning to ask series of questions about the Great Barrier Reef, to speculate, imagine and explore ideas. By the end of today's lesson, you should be able to ask relevant questions to extend your understanding and knowledge about the Great Barrier Reef. You should be able to describe the Great Barrier Reef and ask questions about it. And you should also be able to reflect on the Great Barrier Reef and write why it is special and generate questions about it. Come along, let's find out more about the Great Barrier Reef before we begin to generate our own questions of things we would also like to discover about it. Welcome to today's learning. Now, here are some facts about the Great Barrier Reef. The Great Barrier Reef is the largest coral reef system in the world. It is found in the Coral Sea off the coast of Queensland, Australia. So if you want to go visit the Great Barrier Reef, then get an air ticket to Australia. The Great Barrier Reef is the world's largest living structure. It is made up of around 2,900 individual reefs and 900 islands. The Great Barrier Reef is around 2,600 kilometers, that is 1616 miles in length. Astronauts can see the Great Barrier Reef from space. Marine animals called coral play an important role in the formation of the Great Barrier Reef. Coral create calcium carbonate, which forms a hard shell-like skeleton that protects them. Now, what is a coral reef? Coral reefs are mostly found in tropical oceans. They are mostly found in shallow waters because they need sunlight to help them grow. A coral reef is made of thin layers of calcium carbonate. Coral polyps form a living mat over a calcium carbonate skeleton. Stony corals are the corals primarily responsible for laying the foundations of and building of reef structures. That is why the crown of thorn starfish poses a great threat to them, because when there is so much of the crown of thorn starfish and they eat up the whole structure that these lovely sea creatures has been able to make over a long period of time, it causes bleaching, and it takes them quite a while to form this living mat over this calcium carbonate skeleton. Let's take this again. Coral polyps form a living mat over a calcium carbonate skeleton. Stony corals are the corals primarily responsible for laying the foundations of and building up reef structures. Calcium carbonate is a chemical compound. It is a common substance found in rocks. What does a coral reef look like? Most corals are brightly colored. This is basically one of the things that attracts tourists to them. See how beautiful it looks. Most corals are brightly colored. They can be many colors, including yellow, red, pink, green, blue, orange, and purple. Corals are in fact animals. When you look at them, you will think they are plants, but they are in fact animals. The branch or mold that we often call a coral is actually made up of thousands of tiny animals called polyps. A coral polyp is an invertebrate. What does invertebrate mean? I bet you said it's an animal that does not have a backbone. And what does vertebrate mean? An animal that has a backbone. Very good. So a coral polyp is an invertebrate that can be no bigger than a pinhead. So this is what a coral reef looks like. Life in the Great Barrier Reef. The Great Barrier Reef is home to a wide range of life, including fish, sea turtles, giant clam, seahorse, sea snakes, nudibranch, sea turtles, stingray, sharks, and many more. Over 1,500 different species of fish live in the Great Barrier Reef, including clownfish, star of the animated film Finding Nemo. Whales, dolphins, and dugong can also be seen in the Great Barrier Reef. Climate change is perhaps the biggest threat to the Great Barrier Reef. Warmer ocean temperatures put stress on coral and lead to coral bleaching. The Great Barrier Reef is a popular tourist destination with around 2 million visitors every year. Can you imagine? It's so beautiful. So lots of people go to see it. Now, what is your task for today? As usual, there are three of them. You get to choose one. But if you're an excellent student, I expect you to do all so you can enlighten yourself the more. So write down three questions you would like to research about the Great Barrier Reef. When you write down the three questions, then do yourself a favor by going ahead to find out the answers to those questions. These questions should be things you don't know already about the Great Barrier Reef. 2. Why do you think lots of people go to the Great Barrier Reef? What questions would you like to ask those who have been there? 3. Reflect on what you know about the Great Barrier Reef and discuss why it is special and note down questions you would like to discover about it. Okay, I hope you understood today's lesson. Let me know how you felt about it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.